Thank you po. Congarin, you may start na po.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa ating mga butihing guests who are here today. Let me start by saying that I am opposed to any depletion or removal of our co-Filipinos insofar as the jobs that they have is concerned. However, we cannot just purely and simply use the cloak of protecting our employees without making sure that we stand by the mandate that was given to us. Moreover, we cannot also cover under the auspices of our employees when in fact we are actually doing some confusions in the name of public health. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, allow me to focus on Section 4 of Republic Act number 7966. Allow me to quickly read Section 4, Your Honors, responsibility to the public. The grantee, and in this case, ABS CBN Broadcasting Corporation, shall provide adequate public service time to enable the said broadcasting stations to reach the population in important public issues, provide at all times sound and balanced programming, promote public participation as in community programming, assist in the functions of public information and education, conform to the ethics of honest enterprise, and not use its station for broadcasting of obscene and indecent language, speech, act or scene, or for the dissemination of deliberately false information or willful misrepresentation to the detriment of the public interest, or to incite, encourage, or assist in subversive or treasonable acts. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I have been a doctor for several years, and mind you, one of the current viruses that we have been encountering, especially in areas where there is a huge monopoly of a media provider, is a virus that we call public health misinformation. There was a report sometime in 2014 of a flesh-eating disease. This was an exclusive report made by ABS CBN. Namangha po kami, Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, dahil lahat naman po ng mga doktor nakakaintindi that when we actually talk about psoriasis, grave as the situation may look before the layman's eyes, nakakatakot siya minsan tingnan. Yung iba, hindi po iba, halos karamihan po ng mga pasyente ng psoriasis ay pinandidirihan, lalo na't pag meron silang mga katabi sa trabaho, sa pampublikong sasakyan. But never did we expect that this will be blown out of proportion, labeling a province, labeling, I believe, a certain town or two areas in that town to have had a flesh-eating disease. This actually gave a huge impact on that town. Next slide, please. What was covered in the news later on was that the Sangguniang Panlalawigan wanted an apology from our major broadcasting network. But Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, kanina po kasi rinig na rinig ko po ang sinabi ng ating butihing resource person who happens to be handling the news. And I'll go over it in a while. Pero ang naisip ko po, ang naging tutok po ng sambayan ng Pilipino ay yung sama na loob na naramdaman ng mga opisyal, which I believe can be given credit. But did we ever think of the patient, of the family, of the hundreds or millions of psoriasis patients out there who has to live with the day-to-day stigma and discrimination, na kapag malamig ang panahon, kapag umuulan, ang kaba at takot nila cannot be beyond explanation. And here is our major TV network bloating the issue. May I be refreshed, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, what was the action taken by the station on matters related to this?
ABS CBN.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Deputy Speaker Garin, and thank you for the opportunity to address your concern. I remember the story that you are referring to, and it was aired in our late-night newscast, Bandila. Hours after the airing, that story was flagged and our attention was called. We immediately launched an investigation into the erroneous airing of that story and imposed severe disciplinary actions against our airing journalists at that time. We also made sure that we tightened our editorial controls in terms of stories that were being covered and aired. I also sent a team to talk to provincial officials to see how our news division can help them in dealing with the impact of that story, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that kind response. Doon po ang problema eh. Tinutukan po natin yung mga opisyal dahil nagreklamo sila at tila nagkaroon ng resolusyon calling somebody persona non grata. But my focus is not only on our officials. Paano po yung pasyente? Paano po yung mga pamilya ng pasyenteng may psoriasis? Paano po yung patuloy na nilalait ng ibang Pilipinong, ng ibang kababayan natin, hindi nila naintindihan yung sakit? And instead of ABS-CBN being an instrument of educating our public, and unfortunately in this situation, naging tulay tayo para i-discriminate palalo yung ating mga psoriasis patients. Did you ever think of helping the family? Do you have advocacies on explaining to the general public what psoriasis is all about, how we can support them, na ayaw naman nila, subalit ito'y sakit nila, ito naman maski nakakatakot tingnan, hindi nakakapanghawa. Dahil ang naging reaksyon po ng ABS-CBN, tumutok doon po sa mga opisyal. At nakalimutan natin na yung taong nilait natin, taong may buhay at nasasaktan. At hindi lang po siya ang psoriasis patients. Marami pa po sila. And they are actually good people, nagkataon lang nagkasakit, isang sakit sa balat na wala pong gamot o kung meron mang gamot, napakamahal. Let me move, and then Mr. Chair, if I may, nakakagulat po kasi kung meron po talagang proper vetting, when your reporter went there, she was in complete personal protective equipment na talagang visual pa lang, takot na po. I am not bringing this out in the open to demean the broadcast network, but then I'm bringing this out dahil minsan pag tayo'y lumalaki na, nakakalimutan natin na marami pong mga maliliit na tao na kapag ating nasasagasaan, walang-wala po silang kakayanang lumaban. Just like in this instance, papansinin natin dahil sila board member, sila gobernador, pero paano po ang pangkaraniwang Pilipino? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Mr. Chair, allow me to refresh the memories of our distinguished colleagues here on a victim who was murdered in Cebu. I think the name is Christine Silawan. Previous slide, please. Okay. Nabigla po ang sambayan ng Pilipino dahil isang batang babae na napakaganda. And of course, the mother who was really grieving, the neighbors and the families grieving, wanted justice for this victim. And to refresh your memory, Your Honors, naging malaking issue po ito sa Cebu. But it was a puzzle why she was skinned, why the body looked like that. And the PNP came into the picture. When the PNP came into the picture, nagsagawa po sila ng sariling investigasyon and hindi pa po nalalaman kung sino ang may gawa nito. But apparently, again, in your station, distinguished officials of our giant network, Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, out of the blue, there was an expert who was claiming to have conducted autopsy on the victim. Can you please flash the next photo, please? The next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. That's the victim there in the middle. Meron pong isang bata na nasa gilid. At kung titingnan niyo po, napakakawawa nung batang ito. This is actually the boyfriend of Christine Silawan. Siya yung unang naituro dahil siya yung nakita na huling kasama. Pero minarapat ng karamihan na hindi ito tutukan dahil tiningnan muna at hinintay muna yung investigasyon. I don't know what the attitude has been formed. Pero minsan kasi, kapag malaki ka na, gusto mong palagi kang nauuna sa balita, and sometimes, I am not blaming the officers and the management of ABS CBN. Siguro minsan pag sobra na tayong malaki, hindi natin nababantayan yung mga maliliit na bagay. But if we look at the situation, it is a huge impact on our people. The boyfriend was alleged to have been the murderer of this victim. But the PNP refuted this. The only problem here is that the PNP was not given the platform that you gave to Attorney Acosta and to Dr. Erwin Erfe, an expert that you always publicize in your station. I agree he is a doctor, but myself being a doctor, we all know that he is not a pathologist, nor is he allowed to perform forensic pathology. Ano po ba ang nangyari? Dahil sa malawakang pagbabalita, this innocent boyfriend of the victim, ikinulong, and at his young age, he cannot understand why, while he was grieving for the death of his girlfriend, he was also placed in prison, subjected to things we cannot imagine. Nangyari po ba ito dahil siya'y anak lamang po ng isang mahirap na pamilya? Nangyari po ba ito dahil siya'y isang probinsyano na hindi alam kung paano lumaban sa ganitong klaseng laban? Ikinulong po ang batang ito habang siya'y umiiyak dahil yung kanyang girlfriend ipinatay. The only link there, may nagsabing sila ang huling nakitang magkasama sa kumbento dahil sa Kristan yung boyfriend. But because the police investigation were pointing to a lot of blank walls, they tapped the NBI, opened, I believe, a cybercrime, the experts on cybercrime came into the picture and opened the Facebook of the victim. So much so that it led them to a possible suspect, a businessman who actually wanted, who had an infatuation with this young lady, na mas may pera at mas may kaya kaysa dito sa boyfriend na mahirap. Ano po ba ang nakita ng PNP? Nakita na nanlaban yung bata, hindi po siya na-rape, at yung bilang mga eksperto po, ang sabi po ng ating ibang mga pathologists is that there is a possibility that the victim was left there for a few days at posibleng nakain ng kung anumang hayop or a stray dog. And that was the explanation. But there was seemingly a sensational news claiming, this was again claimed by the public attorney's office, which for reasons we do not understand, is almost always being given an exclusive coverage by your station. At ang sinabi nga nila doon, ina-rape daw yung bata, binuhusan ng asido. This was in contrast to the findings of the real forensic pathologist under PNP. Isa po ang epekto dito. Pwede pong mawalang bisa yung kaso dahil yung totoong eksperto hindi naman nabibigyan ng plataporma kagaya ng binibigay nyo kay Dr. Erfe. But what pained me here is that we have here a young boy who was already sent to prison, and the judge in Cebu found out that it was not supported by any evidence, and there was already in the custody of the police the victim on the left, the suspect on the left, who actually confessed to the crime. Pero pilit pa rin inilabas sa balita, so much so that the president gave a directive, yung batang yan, pag pinatay niya yung isang batang babae sa Cebu, ibalik sa kulungan yan. Of course, there was confusion because sometimes, if you're a very big, almost always, if you're a very big network, and if you come out in the open at sinabi niyong, ito ang kasalanan ng isang tao, naniniwala na po yung lahat. And I was looking at our national treasurer earlier. There was actually semblance in what he was saying. Yes, at the end, after several months, nalaman din yung katotohanan. Pero hindi na ito na ilalabas masyado sa balita. But will correcting the wrong that was mentioned before, will correcting the fake expert that you tried to portray as a forensic pathologist on television, will that correct the psychological torture that this young teenage boy underwent while in prison? Next slide, please. And that's it. Ito po palagi nating footage na nakikita po. Ang sinasabi ko po, pwede po meron kayong mga rason. But earlier, as I was listening to the opening statement of our distinguished resource person, ang sabi niyo po sa slide number 5, it is your response to a call to tell the truth and work for a cause greater than ourselves. Tama po yun. But a cause greater than ourselves is actually coming out and listening to the real experts, not to the friends of your employees or newscasters. At kung yung ating pong biktima was murdered, mas masakit po itong pangalawang biktima na sa batang at murang edad niya naikulong, pinalabas, ikinulong ulit, dahil nga po, yung eksperto na palagi niyong pinagbibigyan ng ere, hindi naman po pathologist. Next slide, please. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I really didn't want to open this up. But I do have high respect for ABS CBN. As a child, nakikita ko po, nung maliit pa po ako, kayo na po ang unang bukang bibig. And even my daughter, when she was growing up, we were always excited to bond together to watch the soap operas. The good channels and the advocacies that you have made us bond together as a family and allowed us to talk about a lot of things. But as the years passed by, my eyes were starting to open to a few people whom I've known. Mga taong walang ibang ginawa kundi magtrabaho. Mga taong kinainggitan. People who are not powerful. I'm really sorry, I'm just a little bit emotional because this person, hindi ko po siya lubasang kilala. Nakilala ko po siya unang-una nung nagkaroon ng Yolanda. Nakilala ko po siya nung nakikipaglaban siya sa SARS at ako po nung mga panahon na yun, wala pa po sa larangan ng kalusugan. Nakilala ko po siya kung paano siya magtrabaho nung labanan nila yung leptospirosis. At lalo ko siyang nakilala nung linabanan natin yung Ebola at yung MERS-CoV. He was the only infectious specialist in the central office of the Department of Health. He was a regular person being interviewed by your station because he was the DOH spokesperson during the time of Secretary Ona and was carried on during my time. I'm referring to the former Assistant Secretary, Dr. Lyndon Lisuy. Lyndon was a jolly person. He dedicated his life to DOH despite all the efforts from the private sector. Next slide, please. Yeah. He was always the person who gave calm to everybody when there was a lot of fake public health news. This is the person who protected your network when the flesh-eating news came out in the open. Siya po ang lumabas at nakiusap na wag nang palakihin, and siya po yung kumausap sa mga pasyenteng may psoriasis, telling them that everything will be all right, that it was not the usual thing that happens. And who will expect that Lyndon will be victimized by the impunity that sometimes happen in a very big corporation? Next slide, please. Lyndon was not really in the limelight, but he was forced to, simply because we have a lot of pandemics, we have a lot of outbreaks, we have a lot of emerging infectious diseases. And that prompted him to work hard. Lalo't lalo na po, na sa buong departamento, he was the only one who agreed not to practice and instead focus on the Department of Health. Salamat. Probably because of his hard work, when President Duterte assumed office, I'm not sure what happened, but maybe because they were looking for competent career people in the department. Director Lyndon Lisuy, who was not appointed as Assistant Secretary or Undersecretary during the previous administration, during the time of former President Aquino, by virtue of his being career and by virtue of his performance, he was appointed as Assistant Secretary. Next slide, please. And that prompted him to work harder. But sometime in December, and even in November, although there were already a lot of intrigues about him being appointed, he was always cited as somebody who did not campaign for the president, as somebody who is not really, as somebody who was a spokesperson during the time of the former president. But despite all of this, he was appointed by virtue of the career promotion inside the department. Siguro ito ay pinagsimulan ng mga ibang matagal nang naiinggit sa kanya at ngunit hindi niya lang pinapatulan. In one of your TV stations, I remember that fully because I was about to have dinner, and when I opened up DZMM, Secretary Duque was about to be interviewed. And a person who hated Lyndon for being appointed submitted a letter to Secretary Duque. Unfortunately, even before Secretary Duque had time to peruse over it in his office, because Secretary Duque, just like all the other former secretaries of health, decided to tap Lyndon for infectious disease concerns and for emerging illnesses, and even as a spokesperson. There was a 2-page letter read verbatim before the eyes of all doctors listening. Hindi lang yun. I just heard it later from colleagues that he had an ailing father who cannot sleep and who cannot eat without watching TV Patrol and without listening to DZMM. Yan po ang pangkaraniwan araw-araw. Yan yung ginagawa ng tatay niya. Yan yung ginagawa ng nanay niya. But on that night, laking gulat nila nung binasa yung 2 pahina ng sulat, a letter accusing him of corruption, a letter accusing him as a medical representative, a letter accusing him of being incompetent, a letter threatening him, and a letter calling on the President to remove him from the Department of Health. Hindi ko na po matandaan Pero sa grabe at sa dami na akusasyon doon, we saw the immediate transformation of Lyndon. He was never the same old person that we used to see him. Moreover, he cannot forgive himself for inflicting that harm on his parents. Alam mo yung palagi niyang bukang bibig na, kaya ko namang masaktan ang sarili ko. Pero yung masaktan yung nanay at tatay ko, dahil lamang po ako na-promote sa DOH, hindi po ba mas maganda na tanggalin na lang po ako bilang opisyal? But people were advising him not to give up. Why? Simply because he was the only infectious disease specialist in the whole department. And after that, he was always being ridiculed. Of course, hindi po siya payat na tao, hindi po siya, mahirap po kasi minsan pag parang kinakantsawan ka. And you're a scientist or you're a doctor who is not used to all of this. Because doctors as they are, lahat po ng mga eksperto, hindi po mahilig humarap sa media. Because you're always busy in your work. If there are doctors who will have the whole time of their life facing media, it's because they're not practicing. Or it's because they are not busy with patients. Or it's because they have ambitions. And a very powerful TV network like your station unconsciously can ruin the lives of many of our scientists and our doctors. That's why I decided to come out and speak up for them. Because I've seen a lot of them suffer in pain. I've seen a lot of them who are brilliant scientists but who cannot speak up when it comes to talking before radio stations and TV stations. Moreover, wala naman silang maraming kakilala sa istasyon nyo at hindi naman sila pwedeng basta-basta pumunta na lang doon at magsabi kung ano ang kanilang nararamdaman. Next slide, please. And because of those repeated series of autopsies being conducted, so may I ask, I know, Mr. Chair, I've been thinking so hard about this. I really do not want to ask these questions. But then as a doctor, it is my moral obligation to do this. I can face all cases thrown to me because I am both a doctor and a politician. But doing this to scientists and other doctors, kawawa po sila. So ito po ang naging buhay nila. On a weekly basis, ngayon nga, yung iba naka-quarantine, yung iba nagpo-positibo. They have to, hire lawyers, spend a lot, spend everything, every centavo that's being paid to them by the government, simply because you had a series of experts that you call, binansagan nyo pong eksperto, yung mga hindi naman totoong eksperto. So may I ask, the officers of ABS CBN, first, what is your basis in labeling a doctor as a public health expert? Or, let's say in the case of autopsies, when do you call a doctor a pathologist? When do you give credential to a forensic pathologist when in fact he is not? And because you mentioned that in responsible journalism, you really have to go through to a series of vetting. And because the flesh-eating fiasco already happened before, you already have systems installed. May I ask you, do you ever have an evidence, a statement from all the 21 countries plus the United States of America, plus all the countries who are members of the European Union, who are currently using the Dengvaxia vaccine, maski isa lang po, meron po ba kayong nakitang ebidensya o papel man lang na nagpapakitang may namatay dahil sa Dengvaxia?
ABS-CBN, maaari niyo pong sagutin yung apat na katanungan na ipinukol sa inyo ng makapagbagdamdamin na si Congresswoman Janet Garin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. Your Honor, in our pursuit of the truth about Dengvaxia, we sought information from various sources, including experts, including officials, previous and present of the Department of Health. They gave us diverse opinions and observations about the vaccine and how it was selected to fight dengue in our country. We tried our best to do our stories in a fair and balanced way. But I do understand and acknowledge your concern about the use of non-experts. In fact, I myself received feedback that some of our commentators' interviews with non-experts tended to alarm people. And as a result of that, I acted on it immediately. And we dealt with the commentator as well. We also put an end to stories on Dengvaxia that tended to cause alarm among the general public, Your Honor. In relation to what happened with Dr. Lyndon Lisuy, Your Honor, pardon me po, hindi po ako masyadong pamilyar doon sa pagbabasa ng letter that was apparently complaining about him. However, let me just say this. We are a large news organization. Our news platforms have been integrated since several years ago. And sometimes mistakes were made. We are far from perfect. We acknowledge that we make mistakes, Your Honor, and we try our best to do everything to correct them in a timely manner. Everything we do is really for the benefit of our viewers and for our public. Wala pong mali siya doon. Kaya nga po, hinigpitan namin ang aming editorial controls para mapigilan ang mga ganitong pagkakamali. It is a continuing effort to improve our protocols and our processes, as well as to professionalize our ranks even more, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, there were three phrases that struck me. First, the answer on timely manner. Second, no malice. Third, you consulted experts. May I inquire, well, because when we talk about experts, we're not talking about personalities. We're talking about specialty societies, medical societies, and even the World Health Organization. So can you enlighten me? Or if you won't have time anymore, you can submit to us in writing. Sino po yung eksperto na sinasabi mo? You can just name the major expert that you have. Pangalawa, timely manner. Yeah, Mr. Chair, before that, just so we will not be deviated from the point of discussion, sino po yung eksperto na sinasabi nyo?
I cannot remember at the top of my head, Your Honor, but I do remember that we had several news stories that we aired in our various platforms on Dengvaxia that relied on officials of the health department at that time. However, I acknowledge that there were also non-experts interviewed during our commentary programs on radio, Your Honor. Yun po ang pagkakaiba nung mga content na nailabas po namin tungkol sa Dengvaxia.
Do you have an advisor or a consultant who guides all your stations and your TV networks whom to interview, whom not to interview?
One of the public health experts that we consulted and provided us information to guide our editorial decision-making was Dr. Susie Mercado. That was the height of the Dengvaxia controversy, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I know Susie as a as a doctor. What made you choose her? I mean, I don't want this to focus on her. Ang tinitingnan po natin ay yung action po ng inyong network. Sa dami-dami po ng doktor sa buong Pilipinas at sa buong mundo, bakit po kailangan lahat ng mga usapin sa kalusugan ay kailangan nanggagaling kay Dr. Susie Mercado? Siya po ba isang infectious disease specialist? Did she ever practice in vaccinology? Did she ever handle an outbreak or a pandemic?
Your Honor, no. She was also advising us on other matters related to public health at that time because we gave the issue of health attention in our news programs, Your Honor. Yun naman pong ibang eksperto ay ginawa po namin ang mga interviews sa aming mga news programs, Your Honor, and in the news reports.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, mismo yung pagpipili niyo ng isang tao, I don't have anything against Susie Mercado, but on my case, I would say that no doctor holds the expertise of many. Kasi kung ang sinasabi niyo po, dun sa slide presentation niyo kanina, is that the true, ang katotohanan at paglilingkod sa bayan, ang layunin ng bawat mamamahayag. Hindi po ba na kapag kayo pumipili ng iisa lamang pong tao who will tell you, advise you, or dictate to you, hindi po ba sa gagawin yung ganyan, ang laki ng posibilidad na kung meron siyang personal na kalaban or meron siyang galit sa isang tao, magkakaroon ka ngayon ng pag-aaway-away among doctors because a giant TV station should have went through the Philippine Medical Association, or even get the official statements. I mean, we know, of course, that she was interested for the WHO regional director post. And the WHO regional director post needs a lot of backing from the government. Mr. Chair, I believe I still have 2 more major issues that would like to handle. Pero ang ipinapakita lang po natin dito, kapag pala yung ABS-CBN, merong taong kinuha, at yung tao na yun, may galit sa'yo dati, o may galit sa mga tao sa departamento, o may galit sa pagbabakuna, o hindi mo na pagbigyan dati, and it will be like their time to pay you back simply because they have a huge TV network against their back. Nakawawa naman po ang taong bayan. Mr. Chair, next slide, please. Earlier, Mr. Chair, I had one question to ABS-CBN. Ang sabi niya is you do extensive research. You consult diverse officials. We have the Philippine Medical Association, the umbrella organization of all doctors. Under the banner of the Philippine Medical Association, we have various organizations, both specialists and non-specialists. Bakit po ba? Sa dami-dami naman ng specialty organizations whose idea and input will not be biased. Bakit po ba kailangan ang inyong sasabihin sa larangan ng kalusugan nakatutok lang po sa isang tao? And again, if you were indeed doing your research, no less than the World Health Organization have repeatedly told you that the vaccine does not cause deaths. Bakit po ba paulit-ulit nyo pa rin ginagawa yon? You mentioned about giving everybody the prerogative to speak up. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I'm going to submit to this august body a review of the interviews, the corresponding airtime, by a few of the people of ABS-CBN kung saan halatang-halata po na parang ginawa ng black time yung inyong broadcast network para lang po sirain yung mga matitinong opisyal sa loob. Na kapag yung isang tao gustong magpa-appoint at walang bakante, lalapit lang sa isang empleyado nyo, isang ospisyal nyo, para sila makapasok. Do you look at this as responsible journalism? And moreover, you mentioned timely manner. Ilan po bang otopsiya ang nakandak muna ni Dr. Erfe bago nyo ito hininto? And how long did it take you? A few days? A few months? Because if my memory recollection tells me right, hindi nyo po ito hininto hanggang nawalan na lang ng gana yung taong makinig. Mr. Chair, my last public health concern here. ABS CBN should have been a very responsible network. Nakasaad po sa kanilang franchise agreement as contained in Republic Act number 7966. Responsibility to the public. You should conform to the ethics of honest enterprise. You should not disseminate or deliberately disseminate false information or willful misrepresentation to the detriment of the public interest. Ano po ang ginawa nyo? Araw-araw, si Dr. Erfe, kaharap ang sambayan ng Pilipino, may dugo na autopsy. Una, autopsies should not be conducted by non-experts. Pangalawa, naglabas po ng hinaing yung Philippine Society of Pathologists, the umbrella organization that holds the expertise to this. At ang pakiusap nila, please do not tolerate this. But it fell on deaf ears, Madam Speaker, Madam Resource Person. At ang sabi nga nila paulit-ulit sa inyo, bakit hindi nyo pwede itong gawin? Because as pathologists, they have been taught to strictly observe the confidentiality of the autopsy process and to respect the mortal remains of the patient. Not only that, it was very prominent in your series of exclusive interviews and exclusive shows that media men were filming the actual autopsy examination. Never have we paraded as doctors the organs of the autopsy cases we have done in public, dripping the blood. Not only was that inhumane and disrespectful to the dead, it was also dangerous on the part of the media people who were exposed to possible viruses and bacteria that may be present in dead bodies. Kailangan nyo po kasi talagang alagaan yung inyong mga empleyado dahil lang po ba kailangang makascoop, papupuntahin nyo sila at ipaparada nyo sila. It is tantamount to a public health menace. And Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, this was the cause of vaccine coverage plummeting. Now that you have heard from all over the world that viscerotropism and neurotropism does not exist in the so-called victims that you were calling. Kasi paulit-ulit po kaming reaching out to your station. The others listened, but ABS-CBN, because you're a big conglomerate and you're a giant, our voices fell on deaf ears. And even up to this point of time, with health issues, you keep on interviewing non-experts. And the problem there is, kapag ikaw ay isang doktor, binigyan ka ng airtime ng ABS-CBN, the public now believes you. Expertise is already measured by whom you invite and whom you give platform. Those autopsies exposed your people to a lot of bacteria and viruses. Hindi po pwedeng gawin yun. Yung pagparada natin ng mga duguang internal organs, ano po ang nangyari? Natakot lahat ng nanay. Bumalik ang polio, nagkaroon tayo ng outbreak ng measles, nagkaroon tayo ng outbreak ng Japanese encephalitis, dengue, chikungunya, name it, you have it. Now, it pains me to hear you clamoring that you have been helping the Filipino people, clamoring that you have been helping our country. Tulong po ba yung ibinalik nyo, yung lahat ng mga infectious diseases na natanggal na ng ating bansa? Tulong po ba na naging instrumento kayo that for the 10 years that we have been polio-free, it only took you and some of your people Dahil gusto nyo yung limelight, gusto nyo yung media. Those irresponsible reporting, I do not care if you will be hitting me personally, okay lang po yun. Pero yung programang iningatan ng ating gobyerno ng ilang taon, just because if you cannot perceive the real experts in our country, how can you have responsible journalism? How can you convey the real public health information? How can you deny that you have been unknowingly and unconsciously become a part of that virus that's creeping on our public health? Mas masahol pa sa COVID-19 ang public health misinformation. Kaya, Mr. Chair, if I will be given another opportunity, I will come out with other specific situations where public health was sacrificed simply because of the fight to be the first one to come out with the news. You mentioned it is a response to call to tell the truth and work for a cause greater than yourselves. Yes, that should be the case. But apparently, there are a lot of deviations. Sabi niyo rin po kanina, ang paglalahad ng katotohanan at maglilingkod sa bayan ang layunin ng bawat mamamahayag. Tama po yun. Pero paulit-ulit po nananawagan yung mga doktor, why don't you focus on specialty organizations? If you talk about psoriasis, call the Philippine Society of Dermatologists and they will give you a person. If you talk about autopsies, call the Philippine Society of Pathologists and they will give you facts and not fake experts. If you want to know about public health, you have PCP, you have internists. You cannot just call people simply because they are your friends. Because responsibility is not all about friendship. Responsibility is all about standing by the mandate that was given to you by our government. Mr. Chair, I know nagalit na po, wala na po akong oras. I really would have to enumerate other illnesses that has been sacrificed by the claimor to be on top in terms of bringing news to our people. At uulitin ko po, napakarami po ng mga mababait at mga galing tao sa ABS CBN. But if the management insists to be deaf, mute, or blind to the realities on the ground, you cannot say that your heart is for the people if you will only take care of officials. You cannot say that your heart is for the people if you cannot let our lowly brothers and sisters speak up and be heard. You mentioned at the company level you have an independent network ombudsman that receives, investigates, and makes recommendations on complaints against news personnel. And these recommendations are acted upon by the head of news in a timely manner. If this was done in a timely manner, all the gains that we have for the past 25 years could not have been drowned just because of irresponsible journalism. Mr. Chair, I thank you for the indulgence and the perseverance. I hope I will be given the next opportunity to touch on other public health programs that have been ruined simply because responsible journalism is cloaked with a desire to be on the top. So let me just ask this direct question, and I do hope you will not take it against us, doctors. Kasi ang pakiramdam po ng ating mga doktor, ang pakiramdam po ng ating mga scientists at the Research Institute of Tropical Medicine, the doctor whom you have been lambasting because she was the principal investigator of the Vaxia is the same doctor that made the BCG, the vaccine you are using for your TB, for your children against TB. They are the same scientists, Filipino scientists, that did polio. They are the same scientists who did the vaccine on measles. They are the same scientists who are actively developing the vaccine on HIV. They are now the same scientists being tapped to develop COVID vaccine. Pero ando dun yung takot, ando dun yung kaba. Kasi alam nila kahit magaling sila sa larangan ng kalusugan, pagdating po sa media, wala po silang panahon na makipagkape-kape at mag-PR sa inyo kasi wala silang kakayanan at wala po silang ganun kalawak na oras para gawin yon. Mr. Katibak, whom I respect so much, I hope you can answer my question truthfully, honestly, and as a Filipino. Ginamit niyo po ba ang Dengvaxia para mapalapit at akala niyo ay mapapalapit kayo kay Pangulong Duterte by hitting the previous administration?
Hindi po, Your Honor.
Will you commit that you conduct an investigation? By the way, Mr. Chair, pasensya na lang po. I remember, I tried to always erase this on my mind because I don't want to be a bitter person. But I remember when I was heavily challenged as a doctor, and I was criticized because I'm from the province and I'm not from Manila. I accepted all of that. But what pained me is that you gave me an instance to answer before DZMM. At doon po natuwa ako. Dahil in-interview ako, nung umagang yun, nagbigay ako ng sagot at sabi ko, I will prioritize this. I will answer this. Because with all the controversies, I have to rush. We had to rush my father to the hospital dahil na-stroke siya sa sama ng loob. And when that happened, ang sabi ko sa sarili ko, talaga naman pala na dapat hangaan ko yung ABS CBN. Because after all the months of the lies and the unfairness, you gave me 30 minutes of time in DZMM to be interviewed. At doon ko sinabi ang buong katotohanan. But when I reached the hospital bed of my father who was being transported to the ICU, he was looking at the TV, he was crying, and he was telling me, ano yung nangyayari? Because on your TV Patrol News, it was all over the headline, Garin apologizes to Dengvaxia parents. I did everything to call your station. I was in touch with all the people that we can call dun sa mga numero ibinigay nyo. Kasi hanggang sa ANC, paulit-ulit yon. At ang sabi ko, pwede bang wag nyo na munang ibalita yon? Because it's not true. And I told them, just give me time. Para lang yung tatay ko, mamatay man siya o makasurvive man siya, hindi niya dalihin sa pagkamatay niya yung sama ng nararamdaman niya because he heard me when I was being interviewed. And if you can prove in that interview that I did apologize for the Dengvaxia program, I will immediately resign from Congress. Napupudpud na po yung daliri namin. Kasama ko yung aking mga kapatid at nanay sa kakatawag. But it fell on deaf ears. It fell on deaf ears. I just wanted to ask you, at isa lang po yung tanong namin. Ang sabi namin, when did you have that interview on TV Patrol? Naka-headline pa. And your people were telling me, ay hindi po. This is from the management. This is from the management. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, I will not be personal on this. It is enough for me that what happened to me will not happen to other doctors. I might be privileged enough because I have my mandate and the people in my district who have known me and who will not believe in the lies, even if it will be ABS CBN peddling this. But I am worried that if this will be done again to the other doctors and the other scientists or to the patients who are discriminated, ano po ba ang laban nila? And as a member of this august body, I look at it as my extreme responsibility that your management should not allow this to happen. Sir, moms, please review my interview in DZMM. I can give you a tape. And then go into TV Patrol on the same day. You had that news item repeated for straight 3 days. At ang sagot niyo lang sa akin, ganun Yun yung instruction ng management, we heard you. I even asked, when did TV Patrol interviewed me? because I was just in that hospital taking care of my father, who felt very bad that the TV station that he looked up to since he was young was the same TV station who will be an instrument of a few people who were not happy. If you are part of the executive, when you become a secretary, a member of the cabinet, you cannot please everybody. There are tough decisions that you have to make. And there were a lot of tough decisions that I had to make because we had to cleanse DOH from corruption. There were a lot of tough decisions we had to make at FDA. At marami po kaming ginawang desisyon para linisin ang PhilHealth. But if your TV station will be allowed to be an instrument of a few people who would like to be appointed, or a few people who would like to win in an election, or of a few people who are not really experts but who are pretending to be experts, or a few people who will get back at us because their businesses were ruined because we have to put systems. Ngayon, ang daming nagrereklamo sa DOH. But did you ask them why they cannot move? Because they are afraid of ABS CBN. Gustong-gusto ng mga doktor na gumalaw. Gustong-gusto ng DOH na gumalaw. Pero bawat galaw nila, bawat desisyon, bawat gawin nilang tama, ang bukang bibig nila, baka malindon lisoy kami. I do hope, Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, that the management of ABS CBN will look into this. Kasi kung mabigyan po natin sila ng prangkisa, at narinig ko po sa ilang kasamahang natin, ayaw natin mawalan ng trabaho ang ating mga kababayan. Ayaw nating ipitin ang isang malaking negosyante. We are all one with this. But if protecting a business conglomerate would mean tolerating the lies on public health, would mean tolerating the fake experts that you continuously interview on your station, then we have to stand up. Even if we lose this vote, I have to stand up. I have to convey the sentiments of our doctors. Because not every doctor is given the privilege to sit in Congress. Not every doctor is privileged to be a mother. And as a mother, and as a legislator, and as a vaccinologist, I can sacrifice my political post if only I have to stood up by the Hippocratic oath that I have always agreed upon. At patuloy ko pong tatayuan at gagawin ang nararapat para sa mga bakuna dahil vaccination saves lives. And now we are in this mess. Now we are in this pandemic. This pandemic is already a big problem. Pero ang hindi nasasabi, for once in the history of vaccination, when measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine was ruined because of a fake expert who went to the US, who is from the UK, ano po ang ginawa ng UK? Ano po ang ginawa ng Amerika? Ano po ang ginawa ng mga media? They came out with the truth. And that doctor, tinanggalan ng lisensya. Pero dito sa atin, pag merong gustong magpasikap, gustong magpa-appoint, all you have to do is approach a reporter from your station, befriend him, and then they will have the luxury of time, the luxury of a big conglomerate, the luxury of being called an expert simply because you allowed them to be. Mr. Chair, distinguished colleagues, even up to this point of time, I still don't know whether to vote yes or no. I'm still thinking. My vote might just be one vote, maliit lang po ito, but it is enough for me that if ever we grant them the renewal of their franchise, all of this should be looked into by ABS CBN. Because when you manage a corporation, success is not measured by money. Success is measured by the real difference that you give to our people. Not the difference that you mouth on the presentations that you make, but the difference that in your conscience you have. To the family of Azek Lyndon Lee Sui, I know that no words, nor even an apology can ABS CBN can bring back his life. But when he died, defending himself, being very bitter, all that I can say is that maybe God has his purpose, and maybe the Committee on Good Government and the Committee on Legislative Franchises should be a very vital instrument. That big as you are, when you grow bigger and you grow bigger and you grow bigger, you always have to remember that at one point, you will never grow big if before God's eyes, you will be part of continuous public health lies. So I do hope that people who will be speaking before your station are real experts. And again, my last appeal. Please do not focus on personalities. Kami pong mga doktor, malaking bangayan kung saan ka nag-aral. Kung galing ka sa ganito, kung galing ka sa ganito, ikaw ba'y taga Manila, ikaw ba'y taga probinsya. That is why in some countries and in many countries, the Secretary of Health, the Minister of Health is a non-doctor. Because the countries do that so that the sitting Ministry of Health will be neutral, no biases. But if you get a certain person, and that certain person dictates whom to interview, what to say, what to put on the news, then you do injustice to the people who have probably refused her or refused him at one point in their lives. You now become part of a bigger virus we call fake news and public health misinformation. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Congresswoman Garin. Ang susunod po natin ay si Minority Leader Benny Abante.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to give the premise that I've always advocated and believed in my statements and my questions. There are two realities, Mr. Chair, my colleagues, in this world. We have a legal reality, we have a spiritual reality. There is a law, a natural law, Mr. Chair, that we all believe in. In fact, this is an absolute law of nature, the law of cause and effect. I would even think that legal realities are the result of the cause in this world, the result of what spiritual realities that we have today. The spiritual reality I'm referring to is what the good book, the Bible says. Men love darkness, and I'm quoting now, rather than light, because their deeds are evil. So because of this spiritual reality, Mr. Chair, that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil, we have these legal realities so that we can prevent men from doing evil. We have a principle in a democratic nation like ours that we are not a nation of men, but a nation of laws. We believe in the rule of law. This committee hearing, I would even want to convince myself, it's not about politics. It is about law. My decision either to support the franchise of ABS CBN or not will not be based on personalities, will not be based on politics, but must be based on law. What I will be saying today, asking questions, are realities that we cannot avoid and we cannot get out of. I would like to cite, Mr. Chair, some provisions in the Constitution, and I would like to seek the understanding of the lawyer of ABS CBN so that I can be enlightened on these provisions. Article 2, State Policies, Section 11. The state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Section 13, the state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. In Article 14 of the Constitution, on education, in Section 3, educational institutions shall teach the rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual values, develop moral character and personal discipline, encourage critical and creative thinking. I would like the lawyer of ABS CBN to please enlighten me, being a lawyer, on the provisions of the Constitution that I mentioned.
Mr. Chair, may I request that Attorney Bautista be allowed
Attorney
to
Bautista,
speak.
nasa Zoom ba siya?
Yeah.
Good afternoon po sa inyo lahat. Naririnig po ba ninyo ako?
Pakilaksan lang po, Attorney Ayo.
Is this better?
Yan, sige po.
Salamat po sa tanong ninyo, Congressman Abante. Yung pong state policies ay para pong advisory or recommendatory policies ng Constitution. But they have to be implemented by actual legislation. Kasi ho, parang ho motherhood statements ito na sinasabi ng ating constitutional framers na ito dapat ang ating gawin. But they need specific implementing legislation. Yun lang po.
Okay. Ito po bang mga provisions na ito, Attorney, kasama dito ang media at broadcasting?
Opo, kasama po. Dahil po lahat ng citizens.
Okay. I would like to cite some events in your programming, Mr. Chair, if I may be allowed.
Go ahead po.
I have the presentation here, and my first question, perhaps it can be answered afterwards, is this, the first slide. I think I gave that to you. Wala ba? Let's wait for a while, ano po, kasi mawawala po yung pagiging madamdamin ko pag wala yung presentation.
Ayan na po siya, Kong Abante.
There is a question that I would like to ask that can be answered after perhaps the complete presentation that I have. And this is the question. Is ABS CBN, and I would like to say this, no, and I'm not picking on ABS CBN alone. I believe that God has allowed this franchise issue to be tackled by Congress so that the other networks will realize the values of what I'm going to say. So this is not just ABS-CBN. This is all the networks that we have in our country today. So I would like to pose the question, and the answer would be afterwards. Is ABS-CBN following the 2004 implementing rules and regulations of Presidential Decree number 1986 as updated October 2012 on TV classification, applying contemporary Filipino cultural values as standard? That would be the comprehensive question, Mr. Chair. Next slide. Sexy wet performance in ASAP. It says, remember when rival Sunday noontime shows Party Pilipinas and ASAP both grabbed the attention of the MTRCB. In 2013, Lavi Po and Rocco Nasino had a sensual number in Party Pilipinas while Ann Curtis performed a sexy wet performance in ASAP. Next slide. Just like other long-running shows in this list, ASAP had its own share of encounters with the MTRCB. One recent incident was Ann Curtis' 28th birthday production number, where she did a, I quote, wet performance of Rihanna's hit song, Diamonds. In the performance, aired in February 24, 2013, Anne wore a black strapless dress with a very high slit. Next slide. Next slide, please. In June 2014, the MTRCB imposed strict rules on Pinoy Big Brother, all in following a controversy that involved housemate Jaime Halandone posing nude for a painting. Posing nude as task in Pinoy Big Brother. Next slide, please. Certain sectors, including the Philippine Commission on Women, raised concerns about a weekly task wherein Big Brother urged Jaime to pose nude for a painting that would raise funds for a charity. Jaime, who is vocal about being a devoted Christian, backed out from the nude painting challenge, as did the three other housemates, Daniel Machunaga, Michelle Gumabao, and Ranti Portento, who were supposed to accompany her. PBB All In issued a public apology as ordered by the MTRCB through TV Patrol. The government agency also ordered the show to adopt gender-sensitive measures, including seminars in coordination with the Philippine Commission on Women. Next slide, please.
Kong Benny,
Yes.
inform ko lang po kayo, dinagdagan kayo ng additional 5 minutes ni Congressman Mike D.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Offending sensibilities in Pinoy Big Brother. In July 2015, MTRCB ordered PBB 737 to enter in a, as I quote, strict and close collaboration with the regulatory board, as the resolution stated that certain scenes in the show offended the sensibilities of the viewing public. Next slide, please. The patong scene in The Better Half. One scene in The Better Half showed the character of Denise Laurel on top of Carlo Aquino while making love. Mocha described the bed scene by saying, and I quote, "Ang haba ng halikan, mayroon pang nakapatong yung babae sa lalaki." Next slide, please. The PNP striptease scene in On the Wings of Love in a PNP uniform. In January 2016, MTRCB summoned the top executives of ABS CBN to discuss James Reid's striptease scene in the TV series On the Wings of Love, which top-billed him and love team partner Nadine Lustre. This was in connection to Philippine National Police complaint about the improper use of the police uniform in television and movies for that matter. Next slide, please. Attorney Villarreal said in his statement, the said episode portrayed actor James Reid doing a striptease while wearing a PNP General Office uniform, allegedly with a police badge and showing the rank of SP04. Next slide, please. Degrading scenes in its showtime. In August 2014, it was reported that MTRCB called for a mandatory conference with its Showtime's executives and host Vice Ganda for alleged offensive and degrading scenes aired in the July 28, 2014 episode of the show. According to the letter, signed by MTRCB Hearing and Adjudication Committee Co-Chairperson Eric Malyonga and committee members Bobby Andrews and Joey Romero. And I quote, "The challenge portion in the program segment entitled Gandang Lalaki showed program host Mr. Jose Vizeral, aka Vice Ganda, wiping off with a towel his sweaty armpit and smudged this towel all over the face of one of the program's male dancers." Next slide, please. Foul language in Pangako Sa'yo. MTRCB called the attention of executives of defunct teleserye Pangako Sa'yo for the use of foul language in the May 29 episode of the show. The episode in question, which happened 3 days after its pilot episode, featured a confrontation scene between Pilar Pilapil and Ian Veneracion. Benita, who is Pilar, confronted her son Eduardo, Ian, after he had a relationship with their cook amor, Jody Santa Maria, despite his engagement to Claudia Angelica Panganiban. She told her son, "Kung pampalipas libog lang yan." That's okay. Go ahead. Next slide, please. Another foul language in Pangako Sa'yo, which was top-billed by Catherine Bernardo and Daniel Padilla, was placed at the 8:30 p.m. time slot where kids and younger audiences are expected to be awake. Next slide. Steamy car love scene in Till I Met You. In November 2016, MTRCB called for a meeting with executives of the Jadin primetime series Till I Met You. The episodes in question were aired from October 25 to 28, 2016. Viewers filed complaints about the steamy car love scene of James and Nadine aired on October 25, as well as the bathtub scene of the Jadin love team that aired in the succeeding episodes. Next slide. While the October 25 episode carried a strong parental guidance or SPG rating, the other episodes only had a PG rating. Another picture in next slide. X rating in Maalaala Mo Kaya. In 2012, Maalaala Mo Kaya's Cursed Beauty episode featuring Jane Onesa and Angel Aquino was initially given an X rating by the MTRCB, which means that it is not for public exhibition. This is the reason why MMK had to postpone its June 2, 2012 airing since it was submitted again for another review to the MTRCB. The MMK episode tackled a sensitive topic since Jane's character is a 15-year-old girl who is recurrently raped by her stepfather. Next slide. Angel's character, who played Jane's mother, reportedly assisted her live-in partner while doing the act of rape. Almost a month later, in June 28, MMK finally aired the controversial episode with an SPG rating. And so, I'd like to ask ABS-CBN, do you have a morality issue? Are we to assume, next slide, that if given another 25 years, these are the type of programs you will continue to air? The last question is, have you forsaken contemporary Filipino cultural values and morality in favor of the ratings? I'd like to ask ABS-CBN to please answer these questions. I would like to say this, not because, Mr. Chair, that I am a bishop, that I have a holier-than-thou attitude. No. I am not only a bishop, but I'm a family man. I have children, I have grandchildren. And even if MTRCB would issue a rating of SPG or whatever it might be, we've got to remember that TV is a public viewing, unlike the movies, where if it is rated only 16 years old and above, can come and see the movie. 15 years and below cannot enter. That is not like television. May I ask, therefore, as our good attorney said, that the articles and the provisions I read in the Constitution also applies in broadcasting and media. May I now please ask the questions or give it to our ABS CBN officials.
Your Honor, good afternoon po, Congressman Abante. To your first question po about PD 1986, yes po, to your first question po, sa PD 1986, yung sa MTRCB po, yes po, we comply po with all the MTRCB program classifications that are recommended. Congressman, kung meron mga unresolved issues po, we present our position to the Adjudication Committee of MTRCB and we come up po with agreements and changes moving forward po. With regards to your second question po, rest assured po na iisa po ang ating layunin na mapangalagaan, iisa po ang ating layunin na mapangalagaan ang moral at spiritual values ng pamilyang Pilipino. We tell po stories that teach life lessons and our stories po embody Filipino values. Filipino values po like hard work, honesty, respect, resilience, and most of all po, love for family, country, and God. Dahil po, ang sentro ng aming mga kwento ay ang pamilyang Pilipino. Personally po, I assure you that moving forward, we will continue to be responsible content producers that make a positive influence in the lives of the Filipino. Maganda po ang hangarin namin. We want to entertain, inspire, and give hope to the Filipino audience. If there are infractions po, we correct them right away, and definitely po, we apologize to our audiences. Yun lang po, Mayor, Congressman Abante.
Maganda po yung inyong sinabi, and I would like to just, Mr. Chair, quote the commentary of a certain attorney Josephus Jimenez of the Freeman. This is entitled The Social Irrelevance of Noontime TV Shows and Telenovelas. And this is not just ABS CBN, okay? He said, I do not know if you have read this, and I would like now please to quote this. With great sadness and dismay, I am constrained to say that all the leading TV and radio networks and even most print media organizations in the Philippines today are feeding the minds of the people with trash and dirty garbage that distort the values and sense of purpose of the young and old alike. Noontime TV shows poison people and telenovelas distract them from social and economic realities. Dirty jokes, lewd dances, and vulgar language pollute the airwaves and poison the Filipino soul. Influence the formation of a national thought, culture, and paradigm. And that is how powerful the media is. In the Philippines, most of this media are just in it for the money. They don't have any sense of patriotism or love of country. It is pure business for them. All they are after are ads, circulation, and to some even envelopmental journalism, being bribed to push a selfish or insidious advocacy. They don't think of the larger implications of what they publish to the long-range strategies and objectives of the nation. What the people see and hear reflect the kind of nation we have, the print and broadcast media here in the Philippines, and in fairness, in many other third world countries, are fixated on making money through ads to fuel consumerism and market liberalism, disregarding the loftier purposes of value formation to build a strong nation and a people of a sturdy character and values. The national government agencies that regulate print and broadcast media are either manned by incompetent executives or political appointees without a noble purpose, or being bribed not to censor or suspend erring practitioners and network. Noontime shows that propagate the people's culture of mendicancy. The host gives money and jacket, all of those things. So I would like to ask the ABS CBN, just like what Attorney Jimenez here, Joseph Jimenez asked. Ang sabi niya rito my question is simple. What is the social relevance of all this? What are the redeeming social values? He further said, I have a very high respect for Boy Abunda. He is one of the more sensible TV hosts, which include Karen Davila, Ted Filon, and Tina Monsoon Falma. But Boy Abunda's hackneyed questions, and I quote, sex or chocolate, lights on or lights out, the best time of the day to have sex, irritate me, ang sabi ni Attorney Jimenez. What do these questions have to do with building a strong value system and national character for our nation and people? He said, I paused for any reply. I think until now, there was no reply. And perhaps right now, ABS CBN has the chance to be able to answer them.
Kong Abante, before ko po pasagutin yung ABS, inform ko lang po yun na binigyan kayo ng additional time tulad ni Congressman Mike D, ni Congressman Tony Pet Albano. Additional 5 minutes po.
Thank you po. Thank you. Thank you very much.
ABS.
Congressman Abante,
Yes.
we have continued to work on improving our content through the years po. There is no intention to give the audience trash. Kasi po, mahal namin ang audience namin, and we are here to serve them. Ang Channel 2 po has a general audience.
Please let
Opo.
me interrupt. I do realize that you have no bad intention.
Opo.
But what is said is already said. And even if you do not have any bad intention, the fact that they were said to others who are viewing it, it's not good.
Yes, I acknowledge that, Congressman Abante. And moving forward, we'll make sure po. I was just going to say po, in Channel 2 kasi, we have a general audience. So, sinisigurado po namin na nabibigyan namin ng audience ng iba't ibang kwento at karanasan para po masagot namin ang iba't ibang pangangailangan ng mga miyembro ng pamilya. Hindi po kami nagsasabi or nagmamalinis. As we said, we may be imperfect, but we continue to strive to work on those imperfections. And I take note po, Congressman Abante, of all the insights, all the observations, and moving forward po, we will make sure we address them.
Ito po, I hope that the other networks are listening and watching. Ito, media rin po ang nagtatanong Media rin ang nagsasabi. Opo, sapagkat yun namang audience natin, wala naman silang lakas na loob magsalita No. Ngayon, pagdating dito sa Kongreso, syempre, I have to be objective with
Yes.
everything I say.
Yes po.
I cannot be biased, no? For example, like sabi ni Jason sa kanina, bias kayo. Tatanungin ko sana siya kung siya hindi bias. Ganoon din naman eh. Di ba? While, in reality, Mr. Chair, sana mag-point of order ako kanina kay Jason sapagkat alam na sa social media na panay ang tira niya sa inyo eh. Oo. So, here is a guy that says you are biased in your reporting and he does not even have the authority to say he's not biased. Pero ito po, media nagsasabi ha, in a particular column in Philippine Star, an opinion targeted TVs and radio networks on the issue of, and I would like to quote, feeding the minds of the people with trash and dirty garbage that distort the value and sense of purpose of the young and old alike. Now, I know you do not have this intention, but these words are real and honest that is being done by a television network. Now, let me ask a question to you. If you say that you do not do this and that you value the families, how can we correct this?
Sorry, Kong Abante, can you repeat the last question?
Ito po ang sabi, how can we correct this? No? Ito mo sinasabi sa Philippine Star, feeding the minds of the people with trash and dirty garbage that distort the value and sense of purpose of the young and old alike. How would you think we should correct this?
Moving forward po, we will handle that po with our producers. I personally po will supervise our producers. Pwede po lang akong sumagot dun sa noontime show kanina.
Go ahead po.
Opo. Gusto ko lang po sabihin that Showtime and Vice Ganda, ang gusto lang po nila talaga ay magpasaya ng mamamayang Pilipino. Mr. Chairman, yeah, I just feel that the hosts, diba, have they don't have any deliberate intention, diba, to hurt anybody when they do the program. They want people to have fun. They want to give happiness.
Alam ko
Yes
po.
po, they have to be very, very responsible. They self-regulate po. They try their best to self-regulate. And if there are some falters or excesses, they're quick to make up po. Gusto lang ko po lang sabihin that ang intensyon lang po namin lahat is magbigay ng dekalidad ng mga programa na may values po para magabayan ang pamilyang Pilipino. It has never been, as I will repeat po, Congressman Abante, it has never been our intention to destroy any person, to hurt any family. Nanay po din ako, Congressman Abante. I'm very sensitive to that, and our team po, I can attest to that. We make sure that we continue to work on responsibility when we produce our stories, when we produce our experiences. And because po, it's not about us, it's about the people we serve. And that's what we've dedicated our lives to, Congressman Abante. Service.
Alam ko po,
Ngayon
in fact-
po, we will continue to improve that service. As
Okay.
I said earlier, we may have our imperfections, but we are going to move forward and we will work at improving our content.
Salamat po sa inyong kasagutan. Alam ko po yun and pinapasalamatan ko po yun.
Salamat
You
din
know,
po.
at alam ko naman na sa mga question pong ito, maaaring naging kontribida ako sapagkat very, very popular ang inyong noontime shows.
Opo.
Ngayon, kaya sinasabi ko po na ito pong mga bagay na ito ay hindi ko po ito katanungan at mga statement, kundi statement din po ito ng media. Oo. Pinaparating din po ito sa inyo. upang magkaroon tayo ng pagbabago sa ating mga programs.
Yes,
Opo,
Congressman.
na talagang kayo po, kapamilya po kayo, di ba?
Yes,
And you believe in you believe in family values.
Yes po.
You believe in moral values. Therefore, dapat magkaroon po tayo ng self-regulation. Not only because the MTRCB says so, that magikinig po tayo mismo. If we believe in discipline, if we believe in moral values, the Filipinos being a religious people, I think that we also have to listen to this, hindi po ba? To be able to really change. And I would like to know, I appreciate your answers. Pero gusto ko pulong ituloy ito. Ano po?
Opo.
So, magiging malinaw po sa atin. Ito, I quote, sinabi rin po ito ng media, noontime TV shows poison people and telenovelas distract them from social and economic realities, dirty jokes, lewd dances, vulgar language, pollute the airwaves and poison the Filipino soul. Well, of course, kayo nandirito no? So, you are the one to answer. And the question of the columnists, which I now propound to you is this. What is the social relevance of all this? Meron po ba? Meron po ba o wala?
Meron po, Congressman. Unang-una po, I just would like to say that yes, we practice self-regulation po. And everybody in our team knows that po. We do not allow that kind of language in our programs po. If there are, as I said earlier, if there are slips po.
Ba't nakakalusot po eh?
Yun nga, slips po ang tawag. Nako po, hindi po, it doesn't go unpassed. When there are slips po, we make sure we deal with it immediately, and everybody in our team can attest to that po.
Oh. Therefore, wala po talaga itong social relevance. Kasi for example, you want to have an honest show. Oh, rape scene po ito. Ibig nyo sabihin, to be honest, that you will actually vividly picture a rape scene in public? Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not. Hindi po ba?
Of course not.
Of course not. So therefore,
yeah,
gusto ko
of
rin
course
tanungin,
not.
nakalagay po dito, what are the redeeming social values? There's no redeeming social values.
Congressman, sandali lang
Opo,
po.
opo.
Yeah, I will answer you. Yung pong sinasabi yung mga sexual scenes and ano. Number one po, we have no theme of any show that's focused on just sex po. Number two po, if there are sexual scenes, these are only used po to establish relationships at hindi po short hindi siya mahabang scenes po. It's only used to establish relationships and heighten conflict. Pero po, sana makita yung kabuuan ng mga kwento namin, hindi lang scenes isolated from each other. Kasi pag nakita po ninyo yung kabuuan ng kwento, dun nyo ma-appreciate that all our programs po stand for Filipino values, as I said earlier. So, dahil pamilya po ay importante sa amin, the values of family, malasakit sa bayan, at pagmamahal sa Diyos po, makikita niyo yun. Even our kontrabidas po have redeeming values in the end. They have learnings. They learn later on to forgive instead of just have a life of revenge. Marami pong lessons na ganun na even the kontrabidas po learn towards the end. And that's the redeeming value po. So, we also work, as I said, when we have life lessons in our programs, that's our way po of giving inspiration, of giving our simple life lessons to the audiences. Ang mga lessons po na wag mawawala ng pag-asa, kumapit po sa Diyos, work hard and make sure, di ba, that what you do is for the good of others. Marami po kaming lessons po sa aming mga kwento, pero sana po, imbis na specific scenes lang po ang makita natin, sana ma-appreciate natin, Mr. Chairman at Mr. Congressman Abante, yung kabuuan ng programa at yung nadadala at nadudulot niyang inspirasyon at pag-asa sa aming mga manonood. Yun lang po.
Naniniwala po ako doon sa kabuuan. Kinakailangang i-judge ang isang program sa kabuuan. Pero pag nagpapakita po ron sa kabuuan ng patong scene, kahit po kayong nanay, hindi niyo papayagan eh. Hindi po ba? Ayan, pinakita ko sa inyo po yung patong scene.
Ay, opo.
Pinakita ko sa inyo yung torrid lips-to-lips kissing. Mr. Chair, my colleagues, I believe that many of your shows give realities and true stories of Filipino experiences. Pero pag meron na po itong tinatawag na torrid kissing scenes in public, napapanood kahit ng mga bata. No, meron po, pinakita ko sa inyo. Ang hirap lang ng MTRCB, saka kayo bibigyan ng warning na ipalabas na eh. I think that you ought to change that. I think we have the MTRCB rin, Mr. Chair, isn't it? And I will be asking them also some questions that they ought to realize. For example, like yung patong scene sa Better Half. Naipalabas yun eh. Hindi naman po nakikita ng audience yung kabuuan. Nakikita po nila yung mga titillating scenes eh. Why? Sasabi ko nga sa inyo, the spiritual reality of human nature. That's why we are a nation of laws and not of men. Ano po? Now, ito po ha, nakalagay. And I would like to ask the MTRCB to answer me on this. Letter D, disapproved for airing on television. Any television program that does not conform to the G, PG, or SPG classification shall be disapproved for television broadcast. The material shall be disapproved for television broadcast if, in the judgment of the board applying contemporary Filipino culture values as standard, it is objectionable for being immoral, indecent, contrary to law, and of good customs, injurious to the prestige of the Republic of the Philippines or its people, or with a dangerous tendency to encourage the commission of violence or of a wrong or crime, such as but not limited to the work depicts in a patently lewd, offensive, or demeaning manner excretory functions and sexual conduct such as sexual intercourse, masturbation, and exhibition of the genitals. I would like to ask the MTRCB to please enlighten me on this. And why is it that you're only warning our television networks after airing what we may say a violation of your rule?
MTRCB, Executive Director Anne Menzo, pakisagot po yung tanong ni Congressman Abante.
Hello po. Good afternoon po.
Yes.
To answer your question, sir, MTRCB requires the network to submit a program, an episode of their program, and then it is reviewed by our board members. They are a committee of 3. And then, if ever the committee finds that the material submitted is for PG or parental guidance, the succeeding episodes of that particular program for the next 13 weeks should carry and should conform with the parental guidance parameters.
And you're reviewing it, right?
Only one episode, Congressman.
One
Just
episode.
a sample episode.
So then, pinapalabas yan, and afterwards you issue a warning. The
One-
question is, bakit na ipapalabas? And then you issue a warning.
We only review one sample episode, Congressman. And then the networks for the next 13 weeks will exercise self-regulation,
Yun.
making sure that the succeeding episodes will conform to the rating given based on the sample episode submitted and reviewed by the board.
So self-regulation, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
All right, now, let me ask you another question here. Okay? Should there be a stricter guidelines on television, different from movies?
It is a different set of parameters, Congressman. Because
What I'm
for
saying
movies-
is, should there be a stricter guidelines
yes,
for television?
Yes, Congressman.
Should there be?
Yes, yes, there
And
should
therefore,
be a stricter.
and therefore, Congress should review your guidelines.
The
So
reason
you
for
will
having-
you will be able to safeguard the families, the children, the parents, and everyone.
Yes, Congressman. That's the reason why MTRCB came up with a advisory. It's an advisory of the rating of the particular program shown before the program to advise the adult present to guide their children whether the material should be watched by them or not. Also, another measure that MTRCB implemented is they have a pictogram. You will see it at the bottom lower portion of your TV. It's color-coded. It's green for G, PG for blue, and then red for SPG. Also, the reason for this, it is superimposed all throughout the program because if you were not able to watch or catch the advisory at the beginning, you are still guided by that pictogram.
My last question to ABS-CBN, sirs and ma'am, no? If ever, and this is not for me, all right? This is not for me, okay? You can do what you want to do and you do not need to listen to me as a person. But if ever, we are going to give you a 25-year franchise, would there be changes in your programming and content programs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat po, Congressman Abante. Ang next po na mag-interpellate ay si Congresswoman Sol Aragones na nagkaroon ng additional 5 minutes galing kay Congresswoman Tambunting. Kong Sol?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of, not a point of order, Mr. Chairman, but a point of query, just a quick one.
Kong Defensor?
Na-notice ko po kasi yung nasubmit na position paper. Ang title po, position paper on the issue of alleged failure to air President Duterte's political advertisement during the campaign period. Ngayon po, hindi po siyempre makakasagot si Pangulong Duterte dahil wala naman po siya dito sa hearing na to. Critical po dito yung dokumento dun sa COMELEC na sinubmit yung ads. Kasi doon natin makikita dahil ang sabi niyo po dito, meron hong first come, first served basis. So if we can have the submission to the COMELEC, just so makita lang ho natin kung ano yung sinasabi nating lumabas na ads based on your COMELEC submission. Do we have it, Mr. Chairman? I mean, wala ho akong tatanong, kundi yun lang po lang, yung document to support this. Para ho sa discussion mamaya, I think the other congressmen would also be interested.
Papasabit mo.
Kung kaya nila po ngayon, Mr. Chairman, kasi yes, it's a position paper about the President's supposed statement, I think. So dapat din naman, to be fair to him, may supporting documents tong document na to.
May we
Etong
know,
position paper
may we
na
know
to.
from ABS kung meron kayong supporting documents?
We'll submit it to the committee po.
Sorry, Mr. Katibak, pasensya na po kasi baka po may magtanong sa atin mamaya. I don't want to rush the ABS CBN, but again, baka po pang nagtanong kailan lumabas yung kay President Duterte na airing, anong oras, di ba yun po ang official submission sa COMELEC, baka po material dito sa position paper. So that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you po.
Thank you. So, balik na po, Kong Sol.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair. Ang katanungan ko po ay para kay Miss Jean Reyes. Miss Jean Reyes, para po sa kaalaman ng publiko at ng lahat, maaari niyo bang ikwento sa amin kung paano nabubuo ang isang balita bago ito umere sa isang newscast, halimbawa ng TV Patrol at ng Bandila? Ano po yung mga layers na pinagdadaanan nito bago ito umere sa isang newscast? Miss Jean Reyes.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman Aragones. Ang pagbabalita po ay bahagi na ng pang-araw-araw naming buhay sa ABS CBN. We have reporters assigned to particular beats. Tulad po ng mga government institutions, agencies, law enforcement agencies as well. So, lahat po sila ay lumalabas araw-araw, nangangalap ng balita sa kanya-kanyang assignment nila. Kapag po biglang nag-break ang storya, agad-agad po nila itong ire-report. Sa ngayon po, dahil sa teknolohiya, they are also required to report on digital, on social media, as well as on our radio platform, on our cable news channel. At sa ilang oras na bago ang TV Patrol ay paghahandaan po nilang buuin yung mga storyang yon, kung ano yung binabalita nila. In the course of coverage, lalabas po ang kanilang kakayahan, lalabas ang kanilang experience, ang seniority, ang pagkuha nila ng mga sources, gayon din ang interviews, at kung ano-ano pa pong tools na maaari nilang gamitin para mabuo nila ang balita. Kadalasan may ini-interview po. Kinocoveran ito ng video dahil visual ang aming platform. Ina-advise po ito sa desk editors at gayon din po sa mga program producers ng mga platform namin. So ganun po ang proseso. Makikita po sa gatekeeping layers na yan na dadaan po siya sa desk editors, dadaan din po siya sa program producers bago ma-ere ang mga storya nila na mula sa labas.
At Ms. Jean Reyes, sa pagbuo din ng isang balita, importante na makuha ang magkabilang panig ng kwento. Tama po ba? Ibig sabihin, kung may nagreklamo, dapat may interview siya at ang inireklamo ay dapat ding makuha ng panig. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. May mga storya po na simple lamang, kung matatawag na ganun, isang event, at pwede mo siyang i-present ng buo at wala namang dalawang panig na kailangan, lalo na't meron kang na-witness, no? At yan ay nangyayari sa mga panahon ng kalamidad o ng biglaang mga aksidente. Gayunpaman ay meron tayong pamamaraan para makuha po ang lahat ng may relevant information at relevant statements tungkol sa mga pangyayaring yan. Kapag po may akusasyon, talaga pong dapat kunin ng dalawang panig, Your Honor.
Ms. Jean, paano kung may akusasyon at ang isang panig ay kinunan pero ang isang panig ay ayaw magbigay ng statement? Paano po natin mailalabas ang news item na ito sa balita?
Kapag yung kabilang panig po ay ayaw magbigay ng pahayag, there are some instances, Your Honor, in which that happens, unfortunately, and we are constrained to air the story because it's big without the other side, but we would disclose that we did our best to interview him or get a reaction from him or her, Your Honor.
May mga pagkakataon din po, Ms. Jean, sa isang live newscast na nagkakamali ang video na nailalabas, nagkakamali ang video or graphics. Paano mo itinatama sa mismong oras na iyon ng newscast?
Kapag po nalaman namin agad ang pagkakamali, ay hinahabol po yon within that particular program. Kung ito po ay spelling error or graphics or factual error, maaari po talagang makalusot. Pero kung ito po ay factual error or an inaccuracy, and we find out about it during the program, we make sure that we air the correction within the same program po.
Salamat po. Pupunta na ho ako sa aking pangalawang katanungan. Sa haba ho ng panahon ng paghahatid ng balita ng ABS-CBN sa iba't ibang platforms nito, may mga pagkakataon po ba na nakatanggap na kayo ng reklamo tungkol sa isang news item na ibinalita sa isang newscast at paano niyo po ito tinutugunan o inaaksyonan?
Meron po. As I said, Your Honor, we are not a perfect organization, and even when you were still with us as a reporter, Your Honor, you were aware that we take feedback from our viewers and complaints very seriously. I personally would like to state that I take those feedback and complaints very seriously. At ito po ay inaaksyonan natin, una, sa pagmamagitan ng pagtatama ng storya o ng report. Pangalawa, sa paghingi ng paumanhin. Kapag nagkakamali po tayo, ginagawa po nating public yan. At pangatlo, may kaukulang investigasyon at parusa sa mga nagkakamali, Your Honor.
Tama rin po ba, Ms. Jing Reyes, na sabihin na ang training ng isang reporter sa ABS-CBN o sa anumang istasyon na pinag-uusapan natin o maging sa mga anchors ay tinitiyak ang kredo ng isang journalist na kinakailangang accurate at patas ang isang balita na kinakalap at inilalabas, walang labis, walang kulang sa katotohanan lamang?
Yes, Your Honor, yan po ang aming tungkulin. At lahat po naman ng journalist ng ABS-CBN, yan po ang kanyang layunin. Kaya nga lang, nagkakaroon din ng mga pagkakataon na hindi po naiiwasan na nagkakamali po kami. Minsan po ito ay dahil sa mismong nakuhang report, minsan naman ay may ibang detalye na nakuha naman ng ibang reporter at ipinagsama sa isang report, kaya nagaganap po yung ganong errors, Your Honor.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Jing Reyes. Mr. Chair, gusto ko naman hong tanungin ang KBP, ang kinatawan po ng KBP.
Go ahead po, Kong Sol, nandyan po ang si Mr. Junnik daw.
Mr. June ng KBP, ang ABS-CBN po ay kaanib ng kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, for the record, tama po ba? Mr. June? Kasama po ba natin si Mr. June, Mr. Chair?
Nandyan po siya kanina eh. Baka nakamute pa.
Ayun, na-mute na po. Your Honor, Your Chairman, Your Honor, tama po yun na member po ang ABS-CBN ng Kapisanan ng Broadcast ng Pilipinas.
Bilang bahagi ho o miyembro ang ABS-CBN ng Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas sa mahabang panahon, paano nyo ilalarawan ang ABS-CBN bilang isang broadcasting company na miyembro ho ninyo?
Well, ang ABS-CBN po has been a member of good standing. Very active po sila sa maraming committees, and they're always represented sa board of trustees ng KBP, so they're part of the policy making. Meron din po silang representative dun sa mga iba't ibang committee, lalo na po yung ating quasi-judicial committee, which is called the Standards Council, which investigates concerns. So very, very active po sila, and they've been contributing in a lot to the Kapisanan in terms of their time, in terms of providing airtime also to cover important events for the government. For example, yung pong yung pong partnership natin dito sa pandemic, well, before sila masara, they've been together with a lot of members ng KBP, they've been actively broadcasting, simulcasting the Laging Handa at saka yung mga press conferences po ng presidential spokesperson para mapatid po yung lahat ng relevant information about the pandemic. So that's just an example po. They've been quite active and they're also giving us airtime to air PSAs, both initiated by the organization at mga PSAs po na in-initiate po ng gobyerno, ng iba't ibang sangay ng gobyerno.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Jun, sa inyong kasagutan. Mr. Chair, may mga bagay na malinaw sa nalakalap ko sa mga kasagutan sa aking mga katanungan ngayong hapong ito. Una, sa pagkuha ng isang balita at bago lumabas ang balita sa ere o sa isang newscast, ay importante na nakuha ang anumang panig ng kwento para ito'y maging patas. Sa ABS-CBN may internal check and balance at sino man sa kumpanya o sa broadcasting network mula sa maliit hanggang pinaka mataas na empleyado, kung ikaw ay nagkamali at labag sa ethics o standards ng kumpanya, ay maaaring patawan ng disciplinary action. At patuloy ang sinasabi nga, yung kredo ng isang journalist na nananalaytay sa puso at isipan ang paggawa ng balita sa isang patas na pamamaraan. Isang bagay pa rin yung malinaw na narinig ko at napagtanto ko sa mga narinig ko ngayong araw na ito. Hindi ho perpekto o walang perpektong organisasyon gaya ng sinasabi ng marami sa atin ngayon. Tingin ko ho, wala ring perpektong istasyon sa pagkakataong ito. Pero ang mas pinakamahalaga sa lahat na lumilitaw ngayon, anumang pagkukulang ay handang punuan, anumang kalakasan ay nais pang palakasin para maipagpatuloy ang pagsiservisyo sa publiko. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat po, Kong Sol. Susunod po ay isang manifestation galing kay Congressman, ating Vice Chair, Congressman Bambol Tolentino.
Magandang hapon po, Mr. Chair, at sa ating pong mga kasamahan dito sa plenary at sa Zoom. Mr. Chair, hindi na po ako gagamit ng PowerPoint or slides dahil ang aking pong manifestation ay bukal na manggagaling sa aking damdamin. Mr. Chair, una po sa lahat, baka po makalimutan ko magpasalamat sa ABS-CBN dahil po sa pag-cover nila as POC President, dahil po sa pag-cover nila ng opening and closing of the last Southeast Asian Games. Nagpapasalamat po ako doon dahil isang karangalan po at bahagi po ako ng Southeast Asian Games. Mr. Chair, nais ko lang pong ipabatid sa pagkakataong ito na maaring personal or parochial po ang aking manifestation, pero ito po ay magpapatunay na bias po ang para sa akin ng ABS-CBN sapagkat naranasan ko pong personal. 2013, during my first term ng Congress, ang masasabi ko lang po ay mahirap lumaban na ang kalaban mo ay taga-ABS-CBN. I won't mention name. With due respect to our colleagues here, I won't mention name. 1 year before election, binabanatan ka na. May replay pa yon every week or every month. Meron pa po yung palabas at may replay pa sa Amerika, sa US, sa Canada. Tatawag sa iyo mga kaibigan mo, kamag-anak mo. Ano ba nangyari sa iyo? Ba't binabanatan ka ng may replay pa, paulit-ulit, pwede pong ulitin nila. So ang sinasabi ko po doon, mahirap kalabanin kung this should be applicable not only to ABS-CBN but on other networks na dapat magkaroon ng reform at baguhin naman nila yung ganyang style. Mahirap kalabanin kung ang kalaban mo ay empleyado ng ABS-CBN. Buti na lang po, malakas ang kapit natin. sa katotohanan, alam ng Panginoon Diyos na mali lahat na nire-report nila. At kaya po ako nandito hanggang ngayon, on my 3rd term. Anyway, tapos na po yun. Nakapagpatawaran na po doon. Dadako na lang po ako sa 2016 and 2019 election. 2016 election, sa akin pong kapatid na tumatakbong senador, 3 years before election, 3 years, imagine kung paano po banatan araw-araw. Okay lang po yung yung pong i-criticize. That's freedom of the press, sinasabi nila. Ang problema po doon, tayo pong mga biktima, hindi tayo makaganti. Hindi naman tayo makasagot. Wala naman tayong time para sumagot. Imagine kung araw-araw kang binabanatan ng below the belt. Halos araw-araw, 3 years, durugin ka, kaladkarin ka, lahat nandun na. I won't mention name kasi po meron namang pending libel case sa involved na reporter. I won't mention name. Ang sinasabi ko lang po, yung pagkabayas, na hindi man lang itap ng management, oy, baka naman sumosobra ka na. Why will they do that? Kasi asset nila yung anchor or yung reporter. Diba? Hinahayaan na lang ganun. Ang sa akin lang po, napakahirap po talaga. Hindi kayo makasagot. Paano kayo sasagot? Wala namang time. I'll give you an example kung paano kayo sasagot. Ito lang pong COVID, Mr. Chair. Ito lang pong COVID, kasagsagan ng COVID. I tried to call ABS. Na-dial ko. Nakatawag po ako sa program ni Yusek Malaya. Sinagot ako sa telepono. Sabi ko, baka po meron akong katanungan, baka pwedeng maisingit, importante lang, about COVID. Ang sagot po sa akin, sandali lang po, ilalabi ko pa ito. So natapos po ang show na hindi ako pinagbigyan. Okay lang po yun. Tumawag ako sa kabilang istasyon, sa 7. Hindi po nagdalawang isip na itanong ko po yung concern ko. It might be personal, but sinasabi ko po yung style, di ba? Kahit hindi po dumaan sa PR firm or what, dapat mag-isip naman kung importante yung isang bagay. Ang sinasabi ko po kanina, doon po sa aking kapatid, ang laking hirap ng ginawa sa amin. Halos hinila ka ng pababa, niyapakan ka na. Buti po kung tama or isang batikos or whatever, pero yung araw-arawin po, almusal, wala pong katapusan, hilahin kang pababa. Kaya po may tama rin po sa resulta ng 2016 election. Mabigat po talaga. Mabigat po talaga pag hindi na correct ang pagiging bias ng isang istasyon, not only for ABS CBN, but I'm telling this to all networks, Mr. Chairman. Mabigat po talaga kung hindi po makikialam o pababayaan ng management. Sasabihin lang, yes, freedom of the press, freedom of the press. Hindi nga po kami makaganti. Buti kung meron kaming time na para gumanti, sumagot. Ay sila araw-araw nasa mikropono, nagagawa nila lahat. Buti sana kung tama, not below the belt. Pero mabigat po kung below the belt. Kaya po, pag ganyang personal, ang naisip ko na lang, being a sportsman, bakit personal din lang kung talagang may galit ka? Ba't di natin daanin sa sports, Mr. Chairman? Pwede naman tayo maglaro ng chess, cycling, or magtigalwa tayong gloves, magboxing na lang tayo. Doon nating daan kung talagang may personal kang galit sa isang tao. Kaya po, Mr. Chairman, hanga ako doon sa mga unang panahon na pag may personal na galit, whether kung saan, dinadaan sa duelo. Yung po bang dating umakbang ng 20, sabay pagtalikod, duelo. Hanga po ako doon sa ganung pag-resolve ng pagbatikos o pagsira ng puri ng isang tao. Pero yung pong gagamitin mong armas, yung pong freedom of the press, at hindi naman po makaganti yung kawawang tao o yung biktima, my God, bahala na po ang Panginoon sa kanila. That's my manifestation, Mr. Chairman, on the biasness of ABS CBN. Mr. Chair, I don't need an answer from si ABS CBN. Kasi po akala ko yung sinabi po ni Congressman Marcoleta, he will be inviting some personalities or anchor reporters from ABS CBN, pero hindi naman po naganap yun.
Mr. Katigbak.
Thank you po, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang sabihin, no, as of now, I would like to make a public commitment that any public official will be given airtime on ABS to express their side on any issue that is being raised against them. That is a commitment po by the owners, by the management, and we are instructing our organization today to take note, please, of this instruction. Ulitin ko lang po, it's a public commitment that any public official will be given the chance to air their side po. Salamat
Mr.
po,
Chair.
Salamat po.
Kong Defensor.
Just for the record, I'd like to commend Mr. Carlo Katigbak for his statement today and for being consistently very cordial, respectful, and honest in his reply to the in his responses to the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Katigbak.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang pasalamatan si Mr. Carlo Katigbak sa kanyang pagbibigay ng assurance sa Kongreso na magiging patas rin ang ABS-CBN, lalo na kung sakali na mapagbibigyan ng panibagong prangkisa. At ito po ay maging babala sa lahat ng istasyon na kailangan po natin na maging patas sa lahat ng ating pagbabalita. At hindi po natin maaaring gamitin yung blanket ng freedom of the press para siraan ng isang tao, lalong-lalo na po sa nangyari kay Congressman Bambol Tolentino.
Thank you, Chair Jonathan. Again, thank you po, Mr. Katigbak, sa inyong statement ngayon. Next po natin na i-recognize, ang susunod magtatanong si Congresswoman Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Mr. Chair, ang mga katanungan ko po ay sa KBP. So, una, Mr. Chair, alam ko po yung topic natin ngayon ay yung bias reporting. So, ako po sa palagay ko, kung sino man po yung pinaka-eksperto dito sa ating mga resource person na pwedeng mag-define o mag-explain ano ba yung bias reporting at paano ba yung pagre-regulate dito, paano ba ito maiiwasan, ay yung KBP po. Kaya, pwede ko bang matanong, Mr. Chair, si representative po ng KBP, ano po ba sa tingin ninyo yung ibig sabihin po ng bias reporting as defined po doon sa organization ninyo?
Doon sa, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, doon po sa ating broadcast code, maliwanag po doon na kung anong sinasabi po. Unang-una na pag-ikot ko po kanina, sa mga news po, dapat straight reporting lang po. It's just a statement of facts, etc. etc. No? Sa commentary po, tsaka public affairs program, baka doon po lumabas yung bias reporting na sinasabi. And of course, sa news din po, ay nabanggit din ni kailangan ang panintunan po natin, when there is a controversial issue, you have to give equal opportunity for both sides to be heard. So, kailangan po, pag kinuha nyo yung isang side ng isang part of the argument, kailangan bigyan ng equal opportunity and equal importance yung kabilang parte. So, hindi mo pwedeng, let's say, banat-banatan mo palagi isang tao without giving that person an opportunity to air the side. Yun po siguro ang basic guideline natin na para maiwasan po yung sinasabi ng bias reporting. At nakapalo po yun sa maliwanag po sa ating broadcast po, John. At gusto ko lang pong sanang sabihin din na under the self-regulatory environment po natin, ay na-advise po natin sino man, government officials or any person who might feel na they were given an unfair treatment by any broadcast station or organization, magreklamo po kayo. Bigay niyo po sa amin ang reklamo niyo at yun po ididinggin at the airing station or the airing personality will be sanctioned. At marami na pong, including ABS-CBN, meron na po mga nagreklamo na. At ang kagandahan po, mas mabilis po kasi kung dadaan po natin sa korte, syempre alam naman natin if we go to the legal process, medyo nagtatagal po 'yon. Ang kagandahan lang po ng self-regulation, within a few weeks or a few months, mariresolve po kagad yun. In fact, a lot of our cases against the ABS CBN or a lot of our members, nare-resolve po yan kagad dahil unang-una, pinag-uusap po natin and karamihan po, pag nag-hain ng reklamo sa KBP, nare-resolve yan po with the discussion between the aggrieved party at saka yung pong kinomplain. So, I encourage everyone, kung meron po kayong reklamo, kahit sino po, ABS-CBN, kahit na po sinong mga miyembro namin sa KBP, paalam niyo po sa amin at kaagad po namin gagawa ng kaukulang aksyon yon para ma-resolve po yung issue na yon.
Good to know po, Mr. Chair, kasi meron palang self-regulation ang mga network, ang mga radio station, kaugnay po doon sa klase ng reporting. So para po magkaroon ng, para po makatugon sa interes ng mga mamamayan, kailangan yung mga impormasyon, yung pong mga kinakailangan malaman ng mamamayan ay dapat po nakukuha yung dalawang side. So, yun po. Kaya po pala may naririnig tayo, di ba? Pag merong mga reporter o broadcaster, pasensya na po kayo, kinuha namin yung side ng ganitong tao o ng ganitong organisasyon, pero unfortunately po, hindi po sumasagot. So, yun yung yung paraan para makita natin na talagang kinukuha yung mga sides noong mga taong concerned doon sa news report. Tama po ba yan, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, sasagutin po yan. Tama po yan as far as the KBP is concerned. Ganun po. Kailangan po makuha yung punto de vista ng both sides po, palagi.
Yes.
At kung hindi ko ipapayagan ng network na gusto yung magpaliwanag kayo yung aggrieved party, that's also a basis for you to file a complaint against that particular station or network. At yun po ay gagawin po natin ng kaukulang hakbang para ma-resolve po yung issue na yun.
Okay. So, thank you po. At kung meron po ang publiko, tingin nila ay hindi nakuha yung side noong halimbawa, kahit na hindi official, kahit na individual, na tingin niya ay hindi nakuha yung side niya at hindi na i-report yung side niya. With the advent naman ng with the advent naman of our technology, with the advent naman ng mabilis na pagre-report, with the digitized na ngayon, nagagawa. Kami po halimbawa sa ACT Teachers Party List, kapag tingin namin ay hindi na i-report yung gusto naming mangyari o yung mga unions na nagbibigay ng gusto ng side nila na marinig, pinapadala naman yan, di ba? Sa mga, pwede nang maipadala yan doon sa mga desk noong mga newscaster, broadcaster, reporter. Tama po ba yon?
Tama po yun. Kung gusto nyo pong idaan sa KBP, pwede po kayong bisitahin yung aming website. Meron po kaming portion doon na complaint. So you can file a complaint and let us know, or kung gusto nyo pong tawagan kami, kung mas mabilis po sa inyo, pwede rin po yun at actionin po namin kagad. We will immediately inform the station or the network.
Okay, next question po, Mr. Chair, with regards to ito po kanina yung sa news reporting, mga information na sinasabi natin na kapag meron tayong mga news report, kailangan makuha yung dalawang panig para magkaroon ng balance reporting, di ba? Ito naman po, yung commentaries and opinions ng mga broadcaster. Ito po, ako po ay advocates ng freedom of speech, expression, at syempre freedom of the press. So, meron po bang ganito, halimbawa, kailan po ba nagsisimula at natatapos yung freedom of expression or opinion or speech ng isang broadcaster? So, meron po ba kayong regulation doon? Or, so syempre, yung constitution pa rin natin yung dapat na manaig doon. So, ano po ba yung role doon ng ating KBP, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, doon po sa ating broadcast code, nakalagay po yung provision natin sa Article 2, Section 6 ng broadcast code po natin, that opposing or contrasting sides of public issues should be fairly presented. So, related din po yun sa sinasabi natin kanina, no? So, yung pong sinasabi nyo kanina, we, of course, aside from the broadcast code of the Philippines, and in fact, more than the broadcast code of the Philippines, ang self-regulation po, ang unang-unang prinsipyo po natin is, we adhere to the laws of the land.